On this video, we're going to explore the topic of stimming and why it's so important for autistic adults. Let's go. Welcome, my friend. That was weird. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. I'm Orion Kelly, that autistic guy. I'm all about helping you raise your level of understanding, acceptance, and appreciation of the autistic community. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, join the best community you are going to find, my friends. Just subscribe to Orion Kelly, that autistic guy, and check out my dedicated video podcast channel, Orion Kelly Podcasts. Let's explore the topic of stimming and discuss why it's so important for autistic adults. Yeah, that's right. Stimming isn't just for kids. Breaking news, stimming plays a vital role in the lives of all autistic people. But first, for those wondering, what is stimming? Catch up, my friend. Autism 101. Let's just break it down really briefly. Stimming basically refers to a range of self-stimulatory behaviors, actions, things autistic people do, which, look at it like this. It's basically self-soothing, self-regulation. Engaging in stimming to self-stimulate, self-soothe, self-regulate is one of the things that I don't think autistic people should ever stop doing, or hopefully should ever worry about what other people think, because this is one of the most powerful tools an autistic person has in their toolkit. Impossible to give you an exhaustive list of what's stimming, what does it look like, but in general terms, forms of stimming can include repetitive behaviors, sounds, actions, things that an autistic person does, sometimes, in my opinion, a lot of times without even realizing it, when you actually don't know, but they're showing you that something's not right here. They're dysregulated. And they start to do it. Why? To regulate ourselves. This is like one of the great warning signs that carers, parents, family members, teachers, staff, workmates, bosses always miss. If there's an autistic person in your life who's starting to do repetitive behaviors, sounds, actions, stimming, that is them telling you, I'm dysregulated. Something's wrong here. It's a warning sign. And it's not only missed by lots of people, it's judged. It's ridiculous. You judge it and you reject it, and it just gets worse for everyone. So this is a rant about stimming, and I'm going to stop it now. But do you see what I'm saying? It's really important. Stimming is a natural and inherent part of an autistic person, serving various functions and providing multiple benefits. Fair enough, that's stimming. My question is though, why? Why do autistic people stim? The short answer is autistic people stim for a variety of reasons. And if you remember one thing from this video, it's that you should understand, appreciate, and support these actions, these behaviors, the point of the stimming. Don't reject it. Don't judge it. Don't suppress it. And to help you in dropping the judgment, let's give you a few reasons why autistic people stim. What's the motivation? The first key reason is, as we've touched on, self-regulation. Autistic adults stim to regulate themselves in times when we feel dysregulated. That's a pretty good reason, by the way. When we are bombarded with sensory inputs, emotions, and all the other challenges faced by autistic people with a different brain in a neurotypical world, to be able to stim and to somehow self-regulate, provide a sense of calm and regulation, is a pretty bloody good reason to stim. Another big reason why autistic adults stim is for sensory processing. It's pretty clear, and we've talked about it a lot, that autistic people experience sensory processing challenges. Every autistic person is different. Either way, though, we can experience sensory processing challenges at a level that is not experienced by non-autistic people because it's part of our diagnosis. So it's a serious, significant difference. It isn't like a nothing. It's a diagnosable difference, okay? So some may experience it at a hyper level, right? So all the senses feel bigger, larger, more than they are to neurotypical people. Others at a hypo level, less. So, and some in the middle and some everywhere, and it fluctuates and it's fluid. Either way, to stim through these periods of being hypersensitive or hyposensitive, can either help you regulate or can actually help you provide the stimulation you need if you're not getting it because of the hypo challenges and issues, right? Do you see how this is really important? Stimming provides a way for autistic adults to manage sensory information, self-soothe, and seek sensory stimulation or relief. Here's a reason you might not have thought of, but it's a big one. Autistic adults stim as a form of communication, as a form of expression. So what I'm trying to explain to you, and I'm not going to stop doing it through this video till it sinks in, is if there's an autistic child, adult, autistic person in general stimming, even though they're not verbalizing it, in stimming, they are telling you that they, in one form or another, are dysregulated or in distress. They are communicating, expressing to you through the stimming that something isn't right, and they're doing their best to manage it or resolve it or regulate their way through it. And then here you are going, why don't you ever tell me when you need help? Or can you stop that stupid movement? Can you stop doing that stupid action? What's wrong with you? Do you see what I'm saying? You've completely forgotten or missed the signal, which you could have then either lent support or just allowed them, without being judged or punished, to do it. Stimming can be a form of non-speaking communication, a form of expressing our emotions, our needs, our preferences. And honestly, it actually can be a form of self-expression and individuality for autistic adults. Stimming for autistic adults is not just for sensory processing. It can also be for emotional processing, emotional regulation. Stimming can actually help us identify, process, and regulate ourselves based on the emotions we're feeling or we're experiencing from others. It basically provides a soothing, calming effect in times of stress, anxiety, overwhelm, dysregulation. Another reason why we stim is for sensory seeking. We are seeking sensory input. We may be seeking a specific sensory input because we like it, it's enjoyable, or it's stimulating. How does that look? Well, it could be things like rocking, moving, but I'm actually going to give you specific examples of how autistic people stim right after we get done with the motivation behind it. Conversely, another reason why autistic people stim is for sensory avoidance. In other words, instead of trying to bring on a sense of stimulation or a feeling, we're using stimming as a coping mechanism, a soothing mechanism for a sensory input we are experiencing. So we're stimming to regulate ourselves through sensory overload or a sense of discomfort from the sensory overload, from the sensory input. Is it just a distraction sometimes? Probably, but that's no less valid, right? I mean, if we're stimming to distract ourselves from an oversensitization or an over input of senses, then that's good, right? It doesn't matter if it's for a distraction or if it's actually to soothe and calm. It actually works. I reckon I do this one. One of the reasons behind why I, as an autistic adult, stim is basically for concentration. It helps me focus. It helps me concentrate. I stim all the time while I'm doing videos. My whole body's not in shot, so it's not always apparent, but it's really relevant. So stimming behaviors employed to concentrate or focus. You might think, oh, that just means you fidget. You're a little fidgeter. You like to use your little thing. Okay, so again, I'm going to give you specific, actual examples of how this looks right after we're done with the motivation behind it. Another reason why some autistic adults like to stim is for self-expression, because we're individuals and we're showing our individuality. Stimming really is, and I know we've touched on this already, it really is a form of self-expression. I know I talked about it being a form of, we actually are warning you or trying to ask for help or showing you we're distressed. We're not verbalizing it, we're doing it through stimming. And you're like, well, that's not doing it then. But that's not true. So stimming is also just self-expression. Stimming can actually be used by autistic adults to demonstrate their unique personalities, their individuality, even their preferences, all in non-speaking ways. Another motivation behind stimming for autistic adults is the regulation of internal body sensations. In other words, a form of stimming that provides internal body sensations. You may have heard some people go, some autistic people really like deep pressure, right? Or whether it's like bear hugs or, I don't know, deep tissue massages or whatever. Yeah, so this kind of proprioceptive needs, this kind of proprioceptive input is basically that. deep pressure or muscle resistance is really useful. Now, okay, I'll give you a quick example. So with my son, a form of stimming, if I think he looks really dysregulated and this dysregulation could lead to a meltdown or a shutdown, I may get him, hey mate, can you do me a favor? Can you move that couch, that chair, that, the big heavy couch chair, can you move it to the other corner? And he'll get behind it. He might not be able to move it, but he'll have to use his hands and all his weight and all his muscle resistance and to push that heavy chair like that. Now you can, honestly, this is maybe from acting class, but I learned you don't need an object to do that. Now you can push a couch. If I say there's a couch in front of you right now, I know there isn't, right now there is, push it, right? No, legitimately it's heavy. And you can do it and you can feel the muscle resistance, right? And that's a form of stimming. Provides this internal body sensation. Another sensation you could use is the vestibular input. Now, I wouldn't do that because I have the vestibular issues, but that could be movement, balance, these kind of things. So I'm more of the muscle resistance, deep pressure. Other people might be more of the vestibular input. And we'll get to those kind of examples too. Autistic adults stim to cope with change, to cope with transitions. We don't grow out of our dependence and reliance on routine, on structure, on sameness. We don't get better at dealing with change and transitions. Like, we all grow as people, I get that. But if you think that transitions are easy for me because, I'm growing as a person, it's just not right. It's just not right. You don't grow out of autism. And personally, can provide a sense of stability and familiarity in unfamiliar circumstances. Anxiety and stress reduction. Another motivation behind stimming for autistic adults. That's kind of a given, right? Why would I stim? Well, I'm feeling anxious. So I'm stimming. Why? Because it'll make me feel less anxious. Stimming can be, honestly, a natural stress releaser. Using a repetitive, predictable pattern, a behavior like stimming, not only reduces anxiety, but it can release tension. So I hope as we go through this, you're starting to see that, one of the key reasons the whole self-soothing, self-calming, self-regulation is really just a broad umbrella term. Yeah, we stim to self-soothe, to self-calm, to self-regulate. That's the top there, but you can see they branch out into all these different and frankly endless possibilities of why it's so useful for autistic adults to stim. As an autistic adult, I definitely stim to help with cognitive processing and integration. In other words, the repetitive behaviors of stimming somehow help support my cognitive processing, and therefore my integration of information. How? What do you mean? Look, the repetitive action or feeling of stimming can actually help organize your thoughts, therefore making connections and lasting memories, bringing the information together. Some autistic people stim to self-regulate their arousal levels. All right. Grow up. You're taking a word and you've just gone there, right? Come on, please, grow up. Bottom line is, I'm talking about alertness, right? The caveman inside us, the arousal of fight, flight, freeze, being hunted or the hunter, these types of arousal levels. So stimming can actually help in regulating your arousal levels, your level of alertness, the stress cortisol injection into your body. The hope is obviously in regulating your arousal levels, you'll bring it back to the personal needs of that moment in time of the day. Do you see what I'm saying? There's no use having an arousal level of I'm about to be eaten by a lion when you're home with the family, right? Or, you're trying to do something in your house, relaxing, but you could be, right? So that it helps recalibrate your arousal levels. Grow up. I'm certain you've seen this. This might be one of the more stereotypical expressions of stimming, which is like an expression of excitement or happiness. Autistic people can stim because they're excited, happy, joyful. It's an expression of that excitement, that happiness, that joy. Last motivation behind stimming, before I give you some examples of what it actually looks like, is kind of a controversial one, but I really want to talk about it. So, autistic adults can stim as a form of reduction of self-injurious or harmful behaviors. This is tricky because we're going to talk about examples in a minute. I'm going to actually specifically share with something I've never really shared before. A form of, in my mind, kind of, self-harm, self-injury, self-mutilation behavior I do as a stimming tool. So we'll talk about that, even though, people don't want to talk about it, because I think you should feel like there's nothing wrong with you, and I do stuff, and it's normal for autistic people, but we can still use stimming to reduce that. I get that. So it's a dichotomy. It's a paradox. Okay, hang on. So you stim to not hurt yourself, but then some of your stimming hurts yourself. You're hurting your fingers or your hair or your scalp, but you're saying you stim not to do that. That doesn't make any sense, Orion. And that's the paradox. What do you want me to tell you, my friend? It is what it is. So now you know, in general terms, why autistic people stim. What are the reasons behind it? What are they trying to achieve? Well, now let's dig a bit deeper into exactly how it would manifest. Here are some general examples of how autistic people may stim. First stimming example, finger tapping. Do this all the time. Always playing with my fingers. A lot of times, if I'm watching TV, for example, and there's like logos or symbols or words or patterns or something that catches my eye, I'll start to draw it on my fingers and I won't even realize it. And there's something about the patting of my fingers. I don't know what to tell you. What I do want to tell you is, though, don't feel bad. Many autistic adults stim like this. Be that repetitive hand movements, like tapping your fingers, drawing on your fingers, moving your fingers, wiggling your fingers. The next example of how autistic adults may stim is a connection to the touching and the tapping of your fingers, and one that I think is probably really big for me, and maybe it's not something we want to talk about, because maybe people would call it self-harm or self-mutilation, but it happens, so I'm going to talk about it. Skin picking. Skin picking is a form of stimming that autistic adults do. I definitely do this as a stimming thing. Not because it brings me joy or I want to do it. It's obviously a regulation thing. And I can tell you, my fingers are constantly either healing, bleeding, raw. Like, honestly, the skin around my nails and the cuticle part or whatever, I'm always picking at, and sometimes I pick it too much and it rips halfway down. There is a massive patch. There's a massive patch on my thumb that is from picking, from stim picking. And I still do it, even though the patch, this dry, bad skin that will never go back to normal because I picked it so much, even though it's really big and it's growing, I can't stop picking at it. You know what? Skin picking is massive for autistic adults. And that's why I'm talking about it. I don't want you to feel weird. I don't want you to feel like you think there's something wrong with you, because I do it. And there's something wrong with me. Do I want to do it? Well, I don't really want to self-harm or self-mutilate. I mean, is that what I'm doing? I don't know. I guess. I don't want to do that, but I do it and it helps. You know, other things that I do. Some people pick other parts like their lips. I like to pick things like my scalp, dry skin on my face. The amount of times I scratch and pick and, well, basically punish and ruin and torture my own scalp is astronomical. And it's not a good thing. And, you know, prior to diagnosis, a lot of people would say, oh, Ryan, you've really got to stop pulling at your hair and picking at your scalp. You're going to go bald, right? And when I heard that, I thought, that's really good advice and I don't want to go bald, so I will stop. But then when I realized I'm actually autistic, that's actually not something I just can turn off and turn on, or I'm doing it just because I'm a little nervous. I realized that's an autistic trait of stimming. And that's something I've done all my life. And now I know why. Why I just can't stop the urge to pick my scalp or scratch my scalp or whatever. It doesn't sound good, and it isn't good. In fact, it can do a lot of damage to your scalp and your fingers and things. Maybe it's self-harm, I don't know, but it's definitely a form of stimming that I do as an autistic adult. And I wanted to talk about it because I don't want people to think there's anything wrong with them if they do it. Yeah, I do it too. Another example is hair pulling. I think I talked about it briefly with the scalp picking. Hair pulling, another form of stimming for autistic adults. I don't know what it is. And I don't mean necessarily like, you know, what kids would do in the schoolyard or, you know, what they do on Jerry Springer or something when that was actually on. But, you know, pulling, rubbing your hair. This is what I do. So not am I itching and you know, ripping at my scalp, but for some reason, a lot of times I do rub my hair. Maybe I do it on the videos sometimes, I don't know. But when I want to do videos, I'm kind of focused on what I'm trying to talk about. So that distracts me. But, you know, sitting on the couch and stuff, I'm always like this. I'll kind of get the corner of my hair and I'm just pulling at it. I don't know why. It just feels good. I just like it. That's another thing people said, you keep doing that around, you're going to go bald. Okay, rocking or swaying. This, tricky waters, my friends. You might go, hang on a second, what are you doing, like a Rain Man? You know, like, that sounds a bit stereotypical, doesn't it, Ryan? What you're saying, rocking and swaying like you're the character Rain Man is appropriate. No, actually, you know what? Autistic people do them. It's just true. Rocking back and forth, or I think for me, swaying side to side. Maybe even on videos I've caught myself sometimes doing that. It's just something I do and I don't even realize I'm doing it. And there's a reason. You know why you're doing it as an adult. That's your body telling you that you're dysregulated or you need some sort of self-stimulatory behavior. I find, and you might not realize it, but I find that this rocking back and forth, this swaying as a form of stimming for autistic adults, provides some sort of comfort, some sort of ease. You know what it does? It provides a sense of grounding you, grounds you or brings you back. Even though it looks like you're taking off, it's the reverse. It's strange, isn't it? But all I can do is share my experiences. Also, you know, body rocking, it includes like a rhythmic movement. And there's something in that too that I find really regulating. Also, this kind of movement of back to forth, I think a lot of times it can even though it seems like, well, you're moving so much, I think in a way, it's really helpful in regulating sensory input. So the other movements around you that you're trying to process, I think sometimes moving helps you regulate or process the exterior sensory input. It sounds confusing, but I don't know, it works. Do you see what I mean when I say the importance of stimming for autistic adults? Like just that one thing can actually ground you and promote a sense of calmness. Like, can you see how you shouldn't be falling into the trap of going, but I'm a grown woman. You know, I'm a dude, I've got kids. Just because I'm autistic doesn't mean I can do this kind of stuff. The people will think I'm crazy. You know, it's like, no, stimming is super important for autistic adults, especially, you know, if you want to actually provide value to yourself and your community and your family. Yeah, these are important. These will help you. These tell you, number one, you're off, and number two, you've got to regulate yourself and get yourself back. This is super important. You shouldn't be denying yourself these things. You should be embracing these things. And I know it's hard with the judgment, but, you know, that comes down to the people in your life, understanding them, and then through understanding them, you'll hopefully appreciate them. Another example of how autistic adults stim is through visual stimming. One example could be when you tend to focus on repetitive visual patterns. I mentioned that with my fingers. There's something about visual patterns, shapes, letters, words, things that get my attention. And I almost become entranced in them, lost in them. Now, that's a form of visual stimming. I'm kind of, my eyes are tracing around the logo on the corner of the screen. Like legitimately, over and over and over and over. I'm visually stimming with my eyes. And my head might move a bit, or my eyes might move, or I might that's my personal example. You might be more prone to focusing on spinning objects, staring at lights. Whatever the form of visual stimming you do can provide a sense of visual stimulation, so self-stimulatory behavior, that can provide you with regulation and a sense of calm. Let's talk about verbal stimming. Now, I've done videos on echolalia, which is where you're basically repeating the words and phrases and sounds of others, the outside world. And I think I did a video on palilalia, which is basically the reverse, which is you're repeating the words and sounds and phrases, you know, of yourself, right? You might answer a question 3 times or what. Just check the videos out. We're not here for that today, my friends. But verbal stimming is important for autistic adults. Vocalizing in specific patterns. I do this all the time. The way you might talk with the rhythm or the tone or the movement, and it's not even natural. You might put on a voice or try to do a weird voice or a character from a show you like, or verbal stimming. Me personally, verbal stimming, crazy good for providing me with a sense of regulation, calmness, and whatever else I think I get. Stimming for autistic adults can also include tactile stimming, so tactile sensations. This can include things like rubbing, or stroking objects. That just sounds creepy. What are you doing? I'm just stroking my phone. I'm regulating myself. Next time, gadget. Next time. There's a reference from the 60s. But you see what I'm saying? This tactile stimming. We do it as adults. Some like to feel different textures. Some like feeling the soft touch of something. Either way, this kind of tactile stimming, again, provides sensory regulation. This next form of stimming for autistic adults is not one for me, my friends, but it's definitely something that my 9-year-old autistic son does. Presumably he will always do. I can't do it because of inner ear issues, contractual obligations. The spinning of yourself, or the spinning of objects as a form of stimming. Man, seriously, just looking at my son spin like there's nothing wrong and he's going to be okay blows my mind. Just the thought of me stimming could potentially put me into a coma. I'm serious. I've got like inner ear issues, right? These, I don't know what you call it, the station tubes or whatever they want to say. And I get a thing called vestibular migraines. This is a weird thing to say in this video, but it's true. So yeah, like I can set off the inner ear by spinning and any kind of movement, and it will basically trigger a vestibular migraine, which is not a migraine. It's a form of a reaction in the station tubes in your vestibular system, which creates a sense of dizziness and discomfort, and like to a level where you need medication. Anyway, we'll move on from that. You want to twirl in circles? Good luck to you, my friends. Stay away from me, though. And you might want to just watch objects spin, right? Or twirl objects. You know, I get that. I like that. That works. Have you heard of a form of stimming for autistic adults that is what we would class as finger flicking or hand ringing? What's that? It's my hand. My hand's ringing. G'day. What's that? Oh, you mean ringing with a W. I thought you meant ringing like, I'm calling you to say hello, which you would never do because I don't like taking phone calls. Frankly, I don't even like this position. So, okay, you sure we don't mean ringing phone, mean ringing like ringing? Okay. You say bye. No, you hang up. Go away. Yeah, cool. So, look, finger flicking. We talked about it again. There's something about my fingers and my hands, I like. It makes me feel good. I do it a lot. Talking about rapidly moving your fingers or flicking your fingers against each other. It looks, to people that don't understand you're autistic or you're stimming, it can look a little bit gnarly, I guess. What can I tell you? Now, you're probably wondering, sorry, can you just go back to the hand ringing? Again, seriously? Hello? Again, it's not the ringing, it's the ringing. So which one do you mean? Hand ringing or hand ringing? I mean hand ringing. Okay, so what do I do with this? You stop. And scene. Yeah, so what's hand ringing, Orion? I do it all the time. Rubbing your hands together real hard and tight, right? You're just pushing your hands together or rubbing your hands together. I do, seriously, and I think this stim helps when I'm really starting to get like angry or upset or really dysregulated in a negative way. Not like I'm so excited to be here. And I'll start to push my fingers into my hands real hard, and then it becomes like an all-hand thing. It's like one hand's eating the other hand. It's like, oh, get away from me. It's like, no, I'm going to eat you. It's like, no, you're not. I am. No, who's the Meg? I'm the Meg. Yeah, whatever. Another form of stimming for autistic adults, you might go, hang on, that's a kid thing, man. Like my autistic kid does this. Well, no, not exclusive to kids, is chewing objects. Now, this might mean for adults, you've worked out you shouldn't walk around eating your own t-shirt or clothing. It's a bit disgusting, when it starts to get wet from your own saliva and people look at you like, oh, I think you've spilled a drink. So, no, I've just been chewing on my shirt all day, so it's a little bit stinky and wet. Awkward. You might go, you know what, I might move on from that. It's kind of starting to get into my vibe. I'm going to chew gum instead, right? I'm going to chew gum. If I don't chew gum, maybe I'll just, I don't know, chew some food. If I snack more regularly on small amounts and chew, that might help me. Either way, chewing objects is absolutely still a form of stimming for autistic adults. Now, this is an issue because this is one of the ones that is really judged. I reckon if you went to an OT website or a sensory tools website, majority of the stuff is like chewing objects, but they look ridiculous, right? For starters, how long have you taught your autistic kid to not eat Lego? Legos could kill them, right? I know what we'll do. This is me, I'm being an OT person now. Oh, how you going, guys? Welcome back to the OT meeting of getting sensory tools for our website. Okay. Any ideas for new ideas? I've got a few. I think we should get stimming tools that look like Lego. Oh, so they'll get the Lego and they chew it. They put it in their mouth and chew it. Bloody great idea. What's next? I've got one. Batteries? We should make a stimming tool out of a battery. Oh, what do they do? Yeah, they get the battery and they put it in their mouth and they chew it. Oh, great idea. Let's put it on yesterday. No, morons. Lego Chewy Stim Tool. Help me help you. My goal is for my kid to live. What's your goal? Sell me a product that'll tell him I should get Lego and put it in my mouth. Fantastic. It's a win-win. No, it's not. Bottom line is, and I don't want this to sound creepy, the oral sensation of chewing objects is a stim used by autistic adults. And before this goes down a really odd route of me talking about oral sensations, we should just move on. Another example of how autistic adults stim is with repeated body movements. We've talked about me like with my fingers or my hair, these kind of things. How about, and also spinning and moving and rocking. But what about repeated body movements? What do you do? Do you do any? An example I do is my legs bounce. I bounce my legs. I might be sitting on the couch. My legs are bouncing up and down, right? Sometimes I've got to stop myself. Can you stop with the bouncing of your legs or moving your legs? Yeah, it's like it's gone past regulating me to just annoying me, right? That's an example I do. Other examples are like shaking your foot, shaking, flapping your hands around. Any type of repeated body movement that you find somehow either releases energy you don't want or helps you process the senses, the input to regulate and calm. How about this one? Flipping or manipulating objects as a form of autistic stimming for adults. This can include all manner of things, like flipping, manipulating objects. It can be as simple as like playing with a pen, flipping a pen, spinning a pen, holding a pen, manipulating the pen, right? How many times did I say pen? I don't even know what it means anymore. Maybe you're one of those people that repeatedly open and close doors. You feel seen, don't you? Either way, these types of repeated body movements, they provide tactile, visual stimulation. Let's talk about another example that might be near and dear to your heart, my friends. Visual or auditory stimming from media. Maybe you're doing it now. Hey, I've failed you and I'm sorry. Examples, watching specific videos, watching specific shows you like, specific movies, playing specific games, listening to specific music, listening to repetitive music. Stop for a second, let's talk about this. I'm an autistic person, I can't speak on your behalf, but what music do I listen to? Well, basically the same songs on repeat. That's what I listen to. Now, sure, I can add new songs that catch my attention, but in effect, I don't like to listen to, for example, to an album. Like I might have the album, but if there's like one song or two songs I love, I'm just going to listen to those songs over and over. And people think, how can you do that? Honestly and truly, I could listen to the same song on repeat, honestly, sometimes for, I don't know, an hour, hours. No issues at all. And in fact, I get quite anxious if there's a new song I like and I'm not able to access it so I can listen to it on repeat. Anyway, I just wanted to share that tidbit, and that was a mistake. You might use visual stimming apps, or whatever the media is that works for you. Some people have websites that provide them with visual stimulation. Again, I feel like this is going down a creepy path. I didn't mean it like that. Do you know what I'm saying? Let's move on. Another example of autistic adults stimming is scent-based stimming. Smells, the scent of something. A lot of people love this kind of stuff. Things like essential oils, incense, these kind of oils or smells, burning off little stick things or whatever that, just make you feel good. And I get that, by the way. Sometimes you can have those in the house and they really do make you feel calm and relaxed. They really do have a benefit. And others just get right up my nose and I just can't be around. So it's touch and go, but I totally get it. Other people like actual objects that have a scent. Again, scent-based stimming. So, these can be coffee, foods, flowers, anything in the outdoors, right? But it's something that you attach to. This helps me regulate. Oh, I feel good now. So, like I smell coffee. I feel good, right? You might say, I smell a rose or a flower and I feel good. That's scent-based stimming. Are you a space cadet? Do you like spacing out or daydreaming? Are you lost in your own little world? Welcome to being autistic. That just sounded like the start of a movie or something. A really bad one. That's another form of stimming for autistic adults. Spacing out, daydreaming, allowing your mind to just wander. Like we had a leash on our mind in the first place. Our mind isn't wandering, by the way. Our mind is absconding. Bottom line, stimming is both a diverse and multifaceted aspect of autism. And the reasons behind stimming can vary greatly from one autistic person to another. By simply understanding and embracing the underlying functions and benefits of stimming for the autistic person in your life, well, it's a win-win. It creates not only a more inclusive environment, but you know what? It creates a more regulated, happy, peaceful environment for everyone involved. Do you have a topic you want me to consider doing on an upcoming video? You know where it goes. Let's see these topic ideas in the comments below. Love always reading them. Thanks for your input. I really do appreciate your support. Until my next video, thanks for watching. Talk soon.